a good story. When I was going to college and I moved to Indianapolis for the first time, my roommate and I would always joke that we felt like we were just living a sitcom. Like I had a really big disconnect from my life of who I was and the life that I was living. Like I never really felt like I never took myself seriously, which I think had a lot of to do with it. But then also like I always felt very disconnected from who I was on the inside and the life that I was living. And I think that maybe if I would have heard something like this mantra, maybe like 8 years ago, maybe I could have discovered a little bit more about myself at an earlier age, because it's making me realize how much of a connection I have now with who I am and the way I live every day. And like, it just feels so much better when I just feel like I am this person and this is the life I'm living, and I feel very connected with it. I feel very purposeful in it. And I feel like it's an extension of me. And like that mantra, just like really, I'm here and like, this is really me. Like, and it feels good to live that and to feel it and to breathe it. And especially when just 10 years ago, I felt very disconnected from my life. I felt very much like I was, it's hard to explain, but we always just said that we were in a sitcom. Like I was playing a character, to be honest. Like I always felt like I was playing a character in a sitcom. And that's how I really looked at my life for a long time. And like I needed to live to this character rather than just who I was in my heart and soul. And so it was kind of cool to realize that a little bit just in the last like 24 hours even. To just have that little bit of an awakening of, wow, I actually feel very rooted. I feel very exactly where I'm supposed to be, doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing in a way that feels super authentic to me. And maybe I just needed that reminder that that's all about like my root chakra, you know, and living a life that I connect with and that feels very authentic to me. And so I really like that. Oh, you watched Hit and Run? Oh my God, Nicole, I watched that the other night. It is hilarious, isn't it? Girl, I loved that movie. I just watched it. It came out in like 2013.
You watched it without me?
It's not a movie you know. Get out of here. Derek just comes out and goes, "What? You watched it without me?" I'm like, what? Like, I don't even know what he's talking about. He's so funny. It was such a good movie. It made me laugh. I love them too. Like, they're super cute together. And I think that movie is like kind of how Mike and I met. Like Mike was like not at all the person that you would think that I was going to end up with. But there was just something that like drew us together, even though like he was like semi bad boy and I was like this little like good girl. But somehow we still got drawn together. So I love that movie. It was like definitely something I resonated with. But yeah, so I just thought that was kind of like a little epiphany that I had in like the last 24 hours, just even going over one chakra, right? Like just going, and I even remember yesterday I was wearing like this big red sweater, you know, and I just like literally was like, oh my gosh, look at me all rooted and shit. Like it was just like I could feel it like in my body and in my bones, and it just felt really cool. So I'm really excited that we came back to chakras, because maybe had we not came back here, maybe I wouldn't have connected that, and you know, maybe it would have been fine. Like my life may have been fine, but it's cool to have these moments that you go, oh, it's happening, it's working, look at this, like, you know. And so I just wanted to let you guys know that it feels really cool when you have something like that and you can really connect it on a level of like your soul, right? Like something that like I don't think you can really just like read about, but like when you hear something and you feel it. Like I felt yesterday when I read I am here and I am real, it just like felt real to me. And I was like, man, that's such that one right there. You know, and you even said, Elika, you're like, some of these you may resonate with, some of them you might not, you know, like pick and choose kind of what does. And it was crazy how my eyes were just like, this is the one you need to read. Because I can't even remember a single other one on that little paper. And so, or you know what I mean? And so like the fact that like that one was the only one that stuck out in my mind, but it has stayed in my mind for the last 24 hours, like wholeheartedly. So it's just pretty cool. And maybe this will happen for you and maybe it won't, you know? But I just think it's kind of cool if you can start to like recognize these things and be open to recognizing them. I think that's the main thing, is like, sometimes it can all be so new and like, you're like, what? But just be like, okay, I'm just going to like hear the information. I'm just going to like feel it out and give it a chance. You might actually be super surprised. So I am going to go ahead and pass it to you, Elika, so you can take it from here. I got to pull up the sheets real quick. So if you have like something you want to talk about while I pull that up, give me just like 2 seconds.
Yeah. Just thinking like the stuff that you said as far as the like sitcom thing, I totally can relate to that. I feel like that is such I was checking the boxes type, you know what I mean? And I feel like that's just like a societal thing that just gets put on a lot of us, of the expectations of like high school and then college and then marriage and then kids. And it's just like, tuck, 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 you know what I mean? And it's such a dangerous like thing to subscribe to, because how many people's lives are really like that, you know? And then how do we feel when that doesn't happen? Like failures, or we're doing something wrong, you know? Like, I don't know. So I can just totally relate to that. And I've shared that sentiment too, of just like not even feeling like I was who I was supposed to be until my like mid-20s. So I can totally resonate with that. And you said something about like, you know, if I heard this affirmation, you know, 8 years ago, but I am and I know you and I have talked about this before, Jenny, like even if you would have heard it 8 years ago, if you're not ready to receive it, or, you know, like it wouldn't have mattered. So it's just so cool how things like come to us when we're ready for them, or come back to us. Works with that. But yeah, so we'll just I finished that 7th chakra sheet and I shared it with Jenny. And then I also found a chakra. I have never taken like a chakra test, like to see what my chakras are, you know, balanced or anything like that. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, like I don't know if I subscribe to all of those things per se necessarily, but I absolutely take them. Like who doesn't love a Cosmo quiz? You know what I mean? But I found this. I love that, Christian. Dude, and your shirt, can I order one? I want it. I want your shirt immediately.
So I used to play volleyball with Rock Bottom. So they all have our names on the back of them. And it was like, it was that thing about the neon. So I was like, this is the only thing neon I own.
I love it. It's so good. Oh, shoot. But anyways, so I took that chakra test last night and I shared the link with Jenny, so she'll share it with everybody. And it was really interesting because the results I got, all of my chakras were balanced except for my crown chakra. It said that it was excessive. And I was like, what? I was like, oh my God. And it's just my reaction. And then of course I was like, that's a funny reaction, Elika. Like, why are you offended about that? I don't know. So it's just one of those things where I would encourage you ladies to take it just because it's fun and it can give some guidance and insight, but do not put, you know, all of the eggs in the basket, and do not, you know, if all of them come back, you know, low or high or whatever, don't think like you're a hot mess express. Okay. It's just specifically for like a guideline and something for you to just be aware of and take into consideration going into your day. So like since my crown is excess, like I'm not wearing purple or white anytime soon. You know what I mean? Because those are the colors that resonate with crown. So I'm just going to stay away from those for a little bit. So again, it's just like, take the test if you want. It's a fun thing to gain some more information and insight about yourself. And on that website, there's also, they have like tabs where you could take some other tests. It's like chakras and then a couple other things. Then Enneagram is one of them. And I'm not sure if you ladies are familiar with the Enneagram test. Yeah, scroll up, Jay. Scroll back up, bud. Yeah, so Enneagram. So Enneagram is a personality test, and it is amazing. If you're not familiar with the Enneagram, it's one of the most on-point personality tests I have come across personally. In my old career, they had a specialist come in. There are people who study Enneagrams for like their life. So we like took a test and they had a specialist come in and share with us our types and, you know, blah, blah, blah. So again, I think these are really fun and just informative. Like, it's really insightful to give you ideas of like why you are the way you are, and just, and more importantly, in my opinion, it helps you interact with other people, because you can have an understanding of like, oh, maybe this person's a 2, you know, like maybe they're coming from it from this perspective because of this reason, and I can take this into consideration, and this is a strength for them, and I know this is a weakness, you know. So I love these kind of things. I think they're super fun, but again, don't put all your eggs in the basket, you know what I mean? So okay, I guess before we get started, did anybody have, like, I'm assuming not, but did anybody have questions or anything from yesterday? Okay, if anything comes up, just let me know. But I'm planning on just kind of flowing through the rest of the chakras, just like we did yesterday, just kind of running down the sheet. If any other random information pops into my head, I will share. And if anybody has any other, you know, experiences or thoughts with these chakras, please don't hesitate to like put your little hand up or whatever, okay? All right, so the second chakra is, actually, Jenny, would you pull up the general sheet again, just so we can take a peek at, I can reshare it with you if you need, but just so we can get a refresher of that picture, so the ladies can see, just get a reminder of, yeah. Yeah, so just a quick review in case you're not familiar with where the chakras are. So the root chakra is at the bottom at the sacrum, and then we're just going to move our way up, or at the root, and then we're going to move our way up. So as you can see, the next one, sacral, is right above it, and that's going to be in the soft spot, like below your belly button. Then we'll talk about our solar plexus, which is between your belly button and your rib cage, kind of, can't see me, but right here. Your heart chakra is right in the center, throat chakra, third eye, and then crown, just to give everybody a quick refresher of the location of the chakras. Okay, pop back to that second chakra sheet, please. Thank you, ma'am. All right, so the second chakra is called Svadhisthana, and that means sweetness in Sanskrit. So the element that it is linked with is water. The color is orange, and it is area, and those are all just general guidelines, ladies. Like I kind of said yesterday, you know, everybody's body is going to be different, and everybody's subtle energy and body is going to be different as well. Its identity is emotions. The basic right of our second chakra is to feel and have pleasure. Our demon associated with that is guilt, and the developmental stages is 2 months to 2 years. So this is really, you know, kind of linked with our sexuality, if you're not getting that from just those little descriptors, which makes sense with the location where it's at in the body. So balance characteristics. If you're in second chakra and you're balanced, you're gonna be graceful in your movement. You're gonna have some emotional intelligence. You're gonna be able to kind of go with the flow, experience change, and be open to new things. And you're also gonna have those healthy boundaries. You're not gonna allow people to push you over, and you're not gonna keep people out. Some traumas that are gonna impact the second chakra development are maybe some sexual, physical, or emotional abuse. So any kind of abuse that occurred during the second 2 months and 2 years. Any volatile situation, so it's like, you know, abusive home, or maybe a PTSD, like wartime situation, neglect, rejection, restriction of normal movement. So if for some reason you weren't able to move around as a kiddo, and then emotional manipulation. So if you experienced any kind of manipulation with your feelings and emotions. So if you are in deficiency in your second chakra, you might be frigid. You might feel like you are not worthy to have pleasure, or you might deny pleasure. You might have really strict and rigid and excessive boundaries and guidelines for people to interact with you. And then you might lack a desire for attachment or that kind of like stimulation. If you are in excess in your second chakra, you might be sexually acting out, or you might be a pleasure addict, and that doesn't have to be sexually. That can be any kind of pleasure that you find. You could have poor boundaries, so you could allow people to just kind of come in as they need and please. And you could have an obsessive attachment. So you could, and that again doesn't necessarily have to be sexually or with a sexual partner. It could be with anything that brings pleasure to you. Some healing practices for the second chakra, movement therapy. So we talked about, you know, dance or working out as movement therapy, walking as movement therapy. The important thing is to listen to your body and to hear what it's kind of needing with that. Emotional release or containment, depending on if you're in excess or deficiency. And that can look a number of ways. You know, a book I was reading once, talked about how emotions have feelings, and a lot of the times we as humans keep those down, but animals don't. But so if you think about it, it's really true. Like emotions actually really have like sounds, and if I know it's gonna sound crazy, but like when I was reading this book, I was like, this sounds nuts. But when I was in the car by myself, if I was feeling something, I would just kind of like open my mouth and let something come out. And it's really true. Like everything you're feeling has a voice to it, essentially. So if you can figure out how to release that emotion vocally, or maybe you vomit at the mouth too much, you know what I mean? Like maybe you need to learn how to reel it in with what you share with people. So, and then boundary work, and that can be done. I mean, some of these things, I didn't put it in the book, it indicated like to be done with a professional or, you know, in psychotherapy. And I don't think I listed any of those things. So all of these things that I'm sharing could theoretically be done, you know, with assistance from somebody who knows what they're talking about. It doesn't have to be like in an office on a couch. You know what I mean? So some affirmations that can help strengthen and link our second chakra. I deserve pleasure in my life. So these are all going to be really geared toward self and validating that you are allowed to be respected and valued in your body. I absorb information from my feelings. Just feeling your feelings, but noticing them and yourself. So really, again, ladies, it's just focusing on allowing and to be allowing yourself to have pleasure in your life. I think a lot of the times we are, you know, maybe grown up or raised in situations where sexuality is like a hush hush subject, and what it gives it stigma. You know what I mean? So. And I'm not saying everybody needs to be like, you know, walking around S&M style or anything, but it's just one of those things that the reality that the way that we engage it matters. So exactly. So again, ladies, any of these affirmations, like if you resonate with one, that's amazing. Like there's one that says life is pleasurable. That's great. My life is pleasurable. But if you maybe resonate more with like, my respect for self is pleasurable, you know, like that's not on there, but that absolutely can be an affirmation. So I really want you to, you know, if you are going to do some meditations or choose an affirmation for the day, if you do the chakra test and you find one is, you know, excessive or deficient and you want to work with it, like, do not feel like this is what you have to choose from. You know, there are so many other options out there for what is going to really resonate and sink in with you. I am a creative being. That's another thing. So our creativity is linked with our second chakra and with our fifth chakra. So just again, thinking about like sexual pleasure, just kind of like allowing yourself to feel and be and have that passion. So creativity, a lot of the like creativity that we have and artistic, you know, drive comes from there. So organs, bladders, things in the body that are related to the second chakra. Again, things in the area, bladder, prostate, bowel, and then again, like I said yesterday, I read a lot of those things are in the same vicinity, so I'm not sure on that, to be frank. The yoga poses, the asanas that can help stimulate your second chakra. It's going to be anything that's going to be really like kind of opening that area. So goddess pose, if you think, you know, your legs are really wide. Reverse warrior, you are opening yourself up quite a bit. Supta Baddha Konasana, so that's reclined butterfly pose. So you're in butterfly and you're just reclined, laying backwards. And then Paschimottanasana, seated forward fold. So all of these, you're really like wide-legged and allowing the energy to kind of flow in your lower half, if that makes sense. Some crystals. So again, the color is orange. Yeah, so crystals, orange and coral, calcite, citrine, orange cameline, and orange aventurine. Sounds like, looks like. So again, the orange crystals, ladies. Foods, again, think orange foods, and also foods rich in omega-3s. Cinnamon is a really great spice to help your lady bits, your lady parts. My acupuncturist, I was not having regular periods by any means for like literally my whole life, and my acupuncturist gave me some cinnamon emporia herb that you can't even find on Amazon. He gets it imported from like his, distributor overseas or whatever. And I took it for, I don't know, a year, you know what I mean? And I have had regular periods ever since. So it's, so cinnamon is really, really wonderful for that. So if you're, experiencing any kind of menstrual issues, maybe taking some cinnamon supplement or talking to Kristen or somebody who knows stuff about oils, maybe cinnamon oil could help. So, and then pranayama, the breath practices that help with the second chakra. So 3 parts breath can help with a couple of the chakras because you're engaging your throat, your chest, and your lower belly area. And it's one of the best breath practices in my opinion. It's basically, you can think of your breath flowing into your filling up your belly and then filling up ribs and then filling up your chest, and then you release it. Your chest goes down, your mid belly goes down, and your lower belly goes down. So it's like a wave of air coming into your body. So inhale big belly, inhale middle, inhale chest, exhale mid, exhale belly. 3 parts breath. Wonderful, really great way to fall asleep at night if you can't fall asleep. But there are YouTube videos instructing how to do it if you're not familiar with that breath practice. So that is all the information that I've got on the second chakra. We'll move right along to the third, unless anybody has questions or anything to say. All right, so the third chakra, Manipura, or lustrous gem. So that's going to be our solar plexus area right here. And that is where all of our willpower lives. That is where we feel anxious. That is when we get nervous, that is what shakes, that is what gets nervous, because that is where all of our drive and self-empowerment comes from. So the element is fire, which Jenny, if you remember, when we were talking about the yamas and the niyamas, tapas is the fire within you. So that's really related to the chakra. Solar plexus, the purpose is transformation, which totally makes sense because it's linked with our power and will and ability. The identity is ego. The basic right is to act and be an individual. The demon connected with it is shame, and this developmental stage is 18 months to 4 years. So you notice it overlaps a little bit with the second chakra. So if you have a balanced third chakra, some characteristics that you might hold are that you are responsible and reliable. You are balanced and effective in your will, your personal will. You have a good self-esteem, a good confidence in your ability. You have a balanced ego strength, so you're not overly controlled by your ego, and you are not totally ignoring your ego. You recognize that it's there for a purpose, but it's not the purpose. Ability to meet challenges head on, and openness and willingness to do that. A sense of your own personal power. And this is a really interesting one, I thought, is like a warmth in personality and a playfulness and a sense of humor. So, having a really nice balance in your solar plexus is going to make you kind of a welcoming person to be around, good energy. Some traumas that impact that development, shaming. So whether that's, by peers, by self, by parents, any kind of shame that comes that you internalize and take personally, that can traumatize that chakra development. And again, volatile situations, physical abuse, fear or punishment, age and appropriate responsibility. So you can see this developing potentially with kids who are made to be adults way earlier than they need to be, or are supposed to be developmentally, that they're ready to be. And then authoritarianism, if anybody is, grew up in a home with a really authoritative parent. So deficiency, some characteristics of deficiency, if in your third chakra, you have low energy. You can be easily manipulated or tricked. You can passive, kind of unreliable. You don't think super great of yourself. Sluggish, and you have that victim mentality, a person present, not taking responsibility or ownership for anything happening to you or in your life. So if you have an excess in that chakra, you might be overly aggressive or manipulative. You might be bullheaded, maybe too overambitious and arrogant. Maybe, you know, that's where that ego piece is coming from. You might be a little hyperactive and power hungry as well. So you can, I mean, I feel like all of those really make sense. Some of the other pieces don't make sense to me, but this is like, this totally makes sense. Like, because it's your personal will and your power and your drive, like if you've got too much of it, you're going to be like, you know, super aggressive, super power hungry and crazy. And if you don't have enough of it, you're going to not have any self-confidence and any will to go and to push yourself and to be. Some healing practices that you can use, risk-taking if you are in deficiency. So if you do not have enough energy, you could take some healthy risks. Healthy risks, because there are such things as healthy risks. And then at the bottom, you can see if you're breathing or meditation. Doing martial arts, so again, just giving that kind of physically, not just physically moving, but also learning and giving yourself skills to do with that physical movement. Doing sit-ups just because it's stimulating that area. So really any kind of like twists or core work would be good for that as well. And then vigorous exercise just to kind of get your heart rate up and get it going. Some affirmations related to that. Again, all kind of relating to just personal power. I am free. I am free from my power struggle. My dog's trying to wake my kid up. I am capable. I have purpose. I am enough. I release judgment of myself. I am at peace with myself. I do enough. So all of these things are really relating to, you know, again, self and accepting self for what you are. Not expecting yourself to be more, not thinking you should be less, but really, you know, having a healthy self-esteem, having a healthy respect, acting with courage and strength, okay? The body things connected to the third solar plexus, pancreas, liver, digestion, intestines, and upper back, which is, I didn't expect the upper back, but it's all related, y'all. So, Kristen, I thought a lot about you with this, just because I know you have your struggles with that. And I was like, gosh, I feel like that's a lot of points that Kristen struggles with. Like, that's IBS, you know what I mean? Just all that stuff. But didn't find any glands related to it, though. I could not find that in the research. So some asanas, some yoga poses to help stimulate your third chakra. And ladies, there are a bunch more. Like, I'm, you know, listing 3, 4, 5 or whatever, but there are a bunch, you know, like, because I only had one piece of paper that I wanted to fit everything on. So this is just a very small sampling of them. But Durasana, which is bow pose. So anything where you're really opening and stimulating your solar plexus area. Parvarita Trikonasana, so revolved triangle pose. And then Bhujangasana, cobra pose. So again, and you can be like Sphinx pose or up dog, like anything where you're like opening and really pushing out through your solar plexus. Crystals, amber, citrine, and lemon quartz. So think, you know, yellow or orangey yellow from a crystal perspective. Foods, yellow curry, and complex carbs. Complex carbs because it helps stimulate the digestion and all the goodness in there. And then pranayama, so a breath practice that helps with it. Those exhale focus things, which is the same for the second chakra, which I didn't mention again. But again, if we're working the lower chakras, just generally doing exhale longer or exhale retention, they're gonna stimulate those more. And then Kapalabhati breathing, which Kapalabhati breathing is really cool, but there are some breath practices, most breath practices shouldn't be practiced without somebody who knows what they're doing. And so if you know what you're doing, do it by yourself for sure. But like Kapalabhati is you breathe out really, really fast. So like you put your hand on your tummy and you're like, and you can get really lightheaded. Like it can be a little tricky until you know what you're doing with it. But again, there are a shit ton of videos on YouTube. So if you want to learn how to do it, I'm happy to teach and to talk about it or whatever. But, you know, feel free to just explore on YouTube and find that kind of breath practice. But what that does, because you're pushing out so quickly, you're exhaling just really rapidly from the area, you are just like stoking that fire within. You know what I mean? So that's a really great breath practice to do if you're trying to escalate your personal will and energy. All right, so we're gonna move to the 4th chakra now. What's your time check? Good, 8:34, awesome. We're going to move to the 4th chakra, which is the heart chakra, and it's related with green, and that is the middle chakra. So that is the balance chakra. So 1, 2, and 3 are in the lower regions, 5, 6, and 7 are in the upper regions, and the heart chakra, the center, is right where everything is in balance. So anahata is unstuck. The element is air. The color is green. The sense that it is related to is touch. The location is the chest or heart center. Hang on. The purpose is love and balance. The identity is social, your basic right to love and be loved. Your human related to this is grief, and the development characteristics of a balanced heart chakra is that you are going to be compassionate and loving and caring and open and empathetic and really search for peace and have a really good immune system, which makes sense. You're going to be in balance in your body. Some traumas that could impact your heart development, rejection, abandonment, and loss. Again, these can be with family, with peers, from a personal perspective. If you let yourself down in some way, you know, like when you're 7, you don't know what that means, but that still happens, and we still experience those and still internalize those. So any kind of shaming or constant criticism, lower chakra maldevelopment. So again, how I talked yesterday, you know, these chakras build on themselves. So if the 1st chakra or 2nd chakra or 3rd chakra is not formed, or if something's going on with it, it's going to be hard to continue to form, you know, the chakras going up in a healthy manner. Divorce or death of a loved one, and then conditional love. So, you know, love with stipulations or conditions attached to them. If you are in deficiency in your heart chakra, you might be withdrawn, isolated, whole. Narcissism. If you have an excess, you are going to be super clingy, codependent, overly needy, probably a little sensitive, have those poor boundaries again, and be possessive. You know, not just of personal, not just of like things, but of people and situations and feelings, but feel that possession. Some healing practices, a really great one is pranayama, and also journaling and self-discovery. So with the, a lot of the healing practices they gave, honestly, for this one were psychotherapy, and there were like a bunch of them underneath it. So as far as like, you know, seeking out maybe professional help, or even, you know, finding a professional or personal development series focused on self-love, or, you know, it's just something like that, and committing to it, like a 30-day and following a program. So y'all, I'm not, you know, like if this is an area that you want to grow in, or you feel like you're struggling in or need some work in, you know, don't feel like you need to go get on the horn with your therapist right now. You know, it's really one of those things of just, again, knowledge and awareness and opportunity to explore and figure out how to help and support yourself in different ways. Some affirmations that can help grow your heart chakra, your 4th chakra, all related to love and kindness with self. So I'm kind to myself. I allow love into my life. I am forgiving. I'm able to let go of that. So really just any, you know, where you feel like you can put yourself into that situation of giving or receiving love for others and for self. And balance. I really want to make sure that that comes away from this too. It's not just about love. Like the heart chakra is key. You know, yoga practice can really help you bring that centering that you're needing. Body connections that it has, high blood pressure, heart, cardiovascular system as a whole, the thymus gland, and your lungs. So again, just stuff going on kind of in this area is with the heart chakra that energy can impact. Some asanas that help the heart chakra are Chakrasana, which is wheel pose or like back bend. Setu Bandhu Sarvangasana, bridge pose. These Sanskrit names are ridiculous. Like just say bridge pose, right? Salamba Bhajangasana, Sphinx pose. So again, just thinking of things that really like open up the heart and kind of help push out that area. Crystals, anything green. So we've got green jasper, jade, or emerald. Foods I thought were really interesting are ginger and mint, leafy cruciferous veggies, and green foods. So anything that's going to give you, you know, that kind of peace, calm, balance, and again, just the color of the chakra. You know, just ingesting that food will help. And then the pranayama practice, like I mentioned, just a balanced inhale and exhale, retention or length. So if you're trying to have a balanced heart chakra, you know, inhale for a count of 3, hold for a count of 3, exhale for a count of 3, hold for a count of 3, whatever. Just make sure it's in balance. All of them are one page. I just apparently didn't, you know, delete that one, but okay. On to chakra 5. All right, so the 5th chakra is our throat chakra, which I personally have been really focusing on a lot lately because I'm trying to figure out my voice with my coaching life. But that is Visuddha, or purification. The element is sound. The color is blue or purple. It is related to hearing, which also makes sense. The location is the throat. The identity is to be creative. Basic rights are to speak and be heard. Demon is lies, and developmental stages are 7 to 12 years. So some balance characteristics that you will see if you have a good, healthy 5th chakra is you will have a resonant voice. So you won't be too weak or meek, but you'll have a nice, strong voice that people like to hear. You'll be a good listener, and you'll actually have a good sense of timing and a good rhythm, which I thought was really interesting. And I'd never thought of that being related or linked to this. It makes sense if you're able to kind of like interpret what people are saying. You can hear, insert yourself in a nice rhythm or way. It doesn't have to be vocal communication. Like human beings communicate in so many other ways than just with words. Clear communication, and you live creatively to allow yourself to be creative and what feels good to you with that. Some traumas that can impact your growth if the 5th chakra is receiving lies or mixed messages, which as you saw, this is like, you know, early adolescence, like especially from a girl point of view, like what's happening in that age? It's like 5th, 6th, 7th grade, girl drama. So other traumas, verbal abuse or constant yelling, excessive criticism, secrets or being secretive, and having a chemically dependent family. So all those things can impact our 5th chakra. If you are in deficiency, what we talked about, have a hard time talking about what you're feeling and thinking. Be shy and actually be tone deaf, not be able to really like tune in to external pitches. If you are an X, you might talk too much, and you might have a dominating or demeaning voice. You might interrupt people. You might enjoy kind of gossiping, and you might have an inability to listen. So a lot of these people might be, you know, listening to respond kind of thing. Some healing practices that you can practice to help your chakra development. So loosen your neck and shoulder, or nice neck stretches, or even a self neck massage. Like, I know that sounds crazy, but it can really reset your day and make a big difference. So using that voice to pass out your feel strong, confident is singing in my car really loudly when I'm by myself, because I just personally, and I've made a lot of progress, don't get me wrong, but I personally, just me speaking is like, you know what I mean? Me speaking kind of loudly and confidently is a practice I'm just not familiar with, you know? So just getting in the car and being able to like some affirmations that can help that chakra is I hear and speak the truth. I'm open in my communication. I have a voice that matters. My voice is necessary. Creativity flows in and through me. I speak honestly. And I know all of these, like some of these are a little longer and complex. Like a lot of the time I will just go back to more simple ones where I am creative. You know, I am outspoken. I am this, or I will be this, or I bring creativity. I see creativity. I speak creativity, you know? So it doesn't have to be like, I express my gratitude towards life with my creative voice. Like, it doesn't have to be these huge, long things. It can be like whatever is going to help you in the moment, and whatever you're going to be able to recall quickly when you are in that meeting with your boss and you need to speak up and you're afraid to, you know, like say those 3 affirmations silently in your head and do it. Some organs, body things connected to the 5th chakra, your throat, vocal cords, respiratory system, mouth, and thyroid, not throid. I don't even know what that is. It should say thyroid. That's funny. Whatever, it'll be all right. But those are all, which makes sense because again, they're all kind of right here. Some asanas to help with your 5th chakra are going to be Salamba Sarvangasana, so shoulder stand, Halasana, plow pose, Ushtrasana, camel pose, and Bhujangasana, cobra pose. So you will see like a couple of the yoga poses for like the solar plexus and the heart are very, very similar. I mean, the areas are very close to each other. You know what I mean? So a lot of one yoga pose can help multiple different chakras, or can hit multiple different chakras. Crystals are Amazonite, lapis lazuli, what the hell is that? And turquoise. So again, just anything like blue, you know, crystal blue. Some foods are going to be fruits that grow on trees, which I thought was actually really interesting and makes sense just because it's up off the ground and makes sense. Honey, because that helps soothe our vocal cords. Herbal teas, again, just because it brings warmth and loosening and soothing to this area in our body. And again, just any blue foods. There's not a lot of natural blue foods. Like blueberry is one of the only natural blue foods, I think. You know, so we're not saying go drink like blue slushies from 7-Eleven. That's not the blue food we're looking for, but blue foods. And then pranayama. So some pranayama that helps. So now that we're in the upper half, we're focused on inhale, retention. So inhale length or inhale retention. And then lion's breath is a really fun and funny breath practice because you go like this and you like roll forward and like open your chest and do this thing. But it's really great for getting some things going in here. So it's silly. It's funny to do and it feels funny. But if you want to check it out, you know, lots of YouTube videos on how to do it. And I'm happy to do it with you ladies too if you ever wanted. But one other thing I just wanted to mention real quick about prana and like the inhale and exhale retention. So think about it also with energy. So if you are in a situation where you need to feel a little more rooted and grounded, do some longer exhales and longer exhale retentions just to like calm and root your energy. If you're trying to like get hyped up for something, longer inhales and inhale retentions helps bring your energy up generally. So I just wanted to share that with you all before I forgot. Okay, 6th chakra is, did I share it with you? I think I did. Maybe not, I'll share it with you.
While you guys are looking for that, one of the things that I found really interesting since you've been talking about the chakras is especially how much it relates to how your chakras are affected young really help. If you know, knowing the information now really help guiding you in parenting, so that way you're not completely screwing up your kid. thinking about this, the trauma that I have as a child, the chemical dependency that, I eventually had, is just like, man, I got some work to do as a mama.
I think it is very interesting. Like, and not to even like throw my sister under the bus, but when I think about it, with her love chakra, and her heart chakra, and the time, like, so my mom had went through her first divorce when my sister was 3. And then, because, she got with 2 or 3. And then, watching my sister go through her second divorce now that she's older, and the way that she views love and the way that I view love is very different. But I had a father that was there through my whole childhood, compared to her, where during that time, it was the first thing I thought of, is like, during that time when her heart chakra was developing, she was taken from her father in a way, or he wasn't there, to be honest. I mean, he was an alcoholic. So like, her connection with that, like, I was like, man, I wonder how much that developed her to live the life that she is compared to me living the life that I am. Because we're from the same mother, we got the same love from our mom, but I wonder if that specific time frame between that age, if that really had a foreshadowing for like the life that she was going to live compared to the life that I lived when it came on love, right? Like, it was just very interesting to me to hear that, and I kind of just started thinking that, and I was like, man, like, right? Like, I don't want to screw Derek up, man. Like, there's some formative years. It's scary, man. All right, I'll let you go back to the 6th chakra.
Oh, awesome. Oh yeah, we've got a couple minutes. And that's the thing to remember, ladies, is like, again, it's not, the information can be like, I know Jenny has said before, now that I just know all this stuff about personal development, like, I need to be doing it all the time. And it's like, we just shared, like, I don't know, all of us can share, I'm assuming, I don't know, but probably situations of like, God, growing up, I went through this, and like, now I know why I'm like this, and we're okay. You know what I mean? So just keep that in mind when you're parenting your children. Like, the fact that we're even, aware of this and have this knowledge and can practice it and implement it with them even a little bit, we're leaps and bounds above where we were. You know what I mean? So it's, just keep in mind, it's so easy to let our thoughts and brain, again, just because it's how we're developed, to go down the negative path of just seeing these things and being like, shit, I've messed up already, or what can I do now? So just remember, like, find an affirmation, take some deep breath, bring yourself back to the present center moment, and do your thing from there. But yeah, a couple more chakras real quick. So the 6th chakra is Ajna, and it's to perceive and communicate. So that's our third eye, and it is related with light. The color is indigo. So like I mentioned, the purple, indigo, clear, violet spectrum up through here, all is kind of different for everybody. The location is like the forehead, brow, third eye area. The purpose is for pattern recognition. The identity is archetype, and the basic right is to see. The demon associated with it is illusion, and the developmental stage predominantly is just adolescence. So if you have a balanced 6th chakra, you're going to have intuition, you're going to be perceptive to situations, you're going to have a healthy memory and imagination, you'll have good recall of things with dreams specifically, have ability to visualize and be mindful and intuitive with your eating, which I put that in there for obvious reasons because we're health coaches. I thought that was a really interesting thing to add. So some traumas that can impact your 6th chakra development. When what you see doesn't match what you're told. So if you're told, the sky is purple and it's actually blue, so that can be, can cause, which makes sense if you're, seeing one thing and you're told it's another. A frightening environment, again, violence, war, anything where you're visually perceiving violence in the environment that you're in. An invalidation of intuition. So if you're following your intuition and it is invalidated in some way, it's going to just lead you to question yourself. Deficiency, if you are experiencing deficiency in this chakra area, you might have a difficulty visualizing your future. You might have a hard time, doing that dream recall or memory recall. You might have a poor vision of yourself, and you might be in denial with things. If you have an excess, you might be obsessed. You might have hallucinations or delusions, nightmares, hard time concentrating, and maybe live in kind of a delusional fantasy world. Some healing practices are creative visual art, meditation, visual stimulation, memory work, and guided visualization. And some affirmations, I see all things clearly, I am intuitive, I am connected to my deepest self, I manifest my vision, I am wise. So really it's talking about just trusting yourself, trusting what you're seeing, what you're thinking. Every situation is an opportunity for growth. I love that one. Again, just because of our industry, I feel like it's a really important thing to remember and to share with our clients. I am the source of my truth. I think this is super important, just to remember that your truth comes from you, doesn't come from anybody else. You don't need to search externally for validation from anybody. Some organs and body connections that the chakra has. It's with the eyes. It governs the functions of the lower glands, which I thought was really interesting. It's connected with our nervous system and our pituitary gland. So because it's up here, it makes sense. It's all connected with the brain stuff. Some yoga poses connected with it. Balasana, child's pose again. We've seen that multiple times. Parsarita Padottanasana, wide-legged forward fold. Uttanasana, standing forward fold, and Makarasana, dolphin pose. So anything where you're kind of, down, stimulating that third eye area. Crystals are going to be things that are like, think purpley. So amethyst, moldavite, purple fluorite, and black obsidian, which I thought was a really interesting one, if it makes sense. Some foods are going to be water for clarity, which I thought was really interesting. Cacao, which I also thought was really interesting. Again, those omega-3 rich foods and purple foods. And then some pranayama breath practices, again, that inhale retention or length. And then Nadi Shodhana pranayama. It's alternate nostril breathing, and it's really cool. It's crazy. So you use your ring finger and your thumb finger, and you basically close off one nostril and inhale for a 2 or 3 count, and then you close that nostril off and exhale through the other one for a 2 or 3 count, inhale for a 2 or 3 count, close it off, and you just do that like 6 or 7 times. It feels wild. It's crazy. But again, that's something that, like, follow a video for the first couple times, or reach out to me if people are interested. We can do, a class on it or something. But if you start practicing pranayama and you aren't used to it, aren't familiar with it, you can get lightheaded, you can get dizzy. I mean, there are just, just some things to be cautious about with it. It's not like you're going to end up in the hospital or anything, but, okay, cool. Let's run through the last chakra real quick, because I do unfortunately have to pop off pretty close to 9. I've got an interview at 10 o'clock. So, and it's a video interview, so I need to straighten my hair and make myself not look like this. So, okay, so the 7th chakra, our final chakra, is Sarasana, which means thousand-fold, petal, lotus, you know what I mean? And the element is thought. The color is violet, or kind of like a white or an iridescent. Like, it's thought that it kind of, as it flows out your body, it loses color essentially. So maybe it's like more like purple violet at the bottom, and then just kind of like goes to like a white kind of sheath. The location is the cerebral cortex. Purpose is understanding. The identity is universal. Basic rights is to know and to learn. The demon is attachment. And the developmental stages are early adulthood and after. So yesterday we mentioned how it kind of restarts at adulthood. So the thing to keep in mind is it's not like once you hit adulthood, all of the chakras go away and you restart, It's really just recognizing that it's like when you become a young adult and move out of the house, you're essentially kind of doing a rebirth. So it's an opportunity for you to develop and revisit all of those chakras, starting with the root chakra and moving up. But you have all of those chakras developed in you. You know what I mean? Always. So some balance characteristics for the 7th chakra is ability to perceive, analyze, and assimilate information. You are intelligent, thoughtful, and aware. You are open-minded and able to question. You are spiritually connected, and you have wisdom and mastery and have a broad understanding. Some traumas that are going to impact this development are withheld information or lies, education that thwarts curiosity. So some, education where you're wanting to learn this, but you have to do this kind of a thing. Forced religiousness is kind of the same deal in my opinion, just anything kind of being forced onto you to practice or learn that doesn't feel right for you. Invalidation of one's beliefs and blind obedience. So all of those kind of make sense to me. Some healing practices that you can, deficiency and excess. So if you are deficient in your 7th chakra, you might be a spiritual cynic. You might have learning difficulties. You might have a rigid belief system, and you might be apathetic, just have apathy. And if you have an excess in your 7th chakra, you might be a spiritual addict. You might over intellectualize things. You might be confused, and you might have a disassociation from your body. So again, ladies, remember when I did my thing yesterday, it said that I was 7th chakra excessive, and I was like, what? This doesn't make any sense to me. I don't do any of that. But anyways, apparently it is. We'll work on it. Healing practices that you can do. So reestablishing physical, emotional connection if you are in excess, and if you are in deficiency, reestablishing a spiritual connection. Learning and studying a spiritual discipline, and practicing some meditation. So honestly, that's big on my agenda. I do meditate and do a breath practice, a couple mornings a week for a few minutes. And now I will be doing it every morning a week for more minutes. Not 20 minutes by any means, but just kind of adding more into that because it has come into my awareness that it's something I need to be present about and work on. Some affirmations for our 7th chakra are, I am guided by my higher power. I am enlightened. I am open to new ideas. Information I need comes to me. Divinity or the divine resides within me. The world is my teacher. So again, just kind of being really open and willing to be receptive to anything coming in. I love and accept myself. I cherish my spirit. My thoughts are peaceful, etc. Some body connections that the 7th chakra has. It is connected to our spinal cord and brain system, our pineal gland. It regulates biological cycles like sleep, which I thought was really interesting. It spoke a lot about melatonin. And then the central nervous system. Some asanas that can help with the 7th chakra are Vrikshasana, which is tree, Savasana, corpse, Salamba Sarasana, supported headstand, Ardha Padmasana, half lotus or Padmasana, full lotus, and Halasana, plow pose. Some crystals, so they're going to be like clear crystals, selenite, clear quartz, amethyst, which is purple, and diamond. Some foods to relate with the 7th chakra, there are actually really no food types because it is the furthest away from our physical realm, and it's not within, a lot of people see the 7th chakra as being above the body, even like some maybe at the crown, but above it. So really, if you think about that, it makes sense. Like anything we eat is maybe not necessarily going to, have an impact on that. But they did say just like clean, high quality, whole foods. Peppermint and ginger can help with clarity. And then doing a breath practice is actually the best way to nourish your 7th chakra. And then the pranayama practice, again, it's that alternating nose breathing that's going to be the best for it in the inhale retentions. And ladies, that is all I got for you on chakras so far. It's a lot of information, a lot of information. But I know Jenny's going to share those sheets with you, and I am always available for questions and happy to do another session or whatever. But I just really appreciate everybody showing up and listening and being curious about it because I love it and I just love sharing about it. So thank you.
Dude, thank you. That's like it is so much information. And that's the thing is like, this is like scratching the little surface, right? Like, so now what I would love to do is as we do personal development, bringing this back in, saying, okay, so if this is what this person is trying to get us to work on, like what would that reference, how could we channel that kind of energy into us, or how could we have less of that energy in us? And we can start to reference the chakras as we work on personal development. Okay, so if we need to work on our empathy, then what kind of chakra would that be, and how can we channel that? So now we have actual tactical things to kind of hold on to, because sometimes when we're doing personal development, it's like, okay, I want to work on my ego. Oh, how the hell do I work on my ego? Okay, well, your ego lies in this chakra. And so if you're going to do this chakra, let's eat these foods can help you tame your ego. You know what I mean? Like we can have tactical, I love like things that I can actually say, okay, if I'm doing this, it's helping this, not just like my ego needs checked. Okay, well, how the hell do I do that? You know, but if I can say, oh, if I wear these things, if I move this way, if I eat these things, if I say this to myself, that can help me check my ego. So I really like and appreciate this knowledge, and I hope that you guys can too, because it's something we reference over time, right? So it's like, get the initial facts out, get the initial idea out, and then over time we begin to apply it and use it. Go ahead, Kristen.
So it's actually really interesting. I love to get the pages that you've created, because we can also add to those pages if you want to, essential oils that will help those chakras. And then also in talking about charging the moon, like moon water, you can also charge water with the sun. So moon water is feminine energy and sun water is masculine energy. So when you're charging those, like new moon brings like new life and restarting and stuff like that. So those also work on chakras. So you could, you know, even down to intuition and planting seeds, literally moving through chakras and charging your water appropriately for how you're going to do, literally cleaning your space with it and things like that.
Yeah. Kristen, let's talk about the moon water like first thing tomorrow, because we had talked about wanting to do that, and I don't want to push it all the way to next week. So like I know tomorrow's music day, but like tomorrow first we'll talk about the moon water, because I do want to talk about that. We were Kristen and I were going to share it, but I think we're going to run out of time here.
Please record tomorrow, because I won't be here. We'll be on our way to Tennessee, so I definitely want to hear that.
Yeah, I for sure will. I'll record that part. Yeah, and then also it was funny, even just like, well, I'll finish up on this, but I thought it was super cool that like as you were referencing things, I was like, so like I have orange leggings on, like, and they're like wrapped, they're high waisted, so they're like totally like wrapped right around, you know, my solar plexus and everything. And then I was like, oh look, I have a green shirt on, and you were talking about the heart chakra. And then I was like, oh look, I have my blue necklace on, which is right around my throat. And I was like, how intuitive can we really be when we start to like look at things like that, you know, and start to realize that, wow, I'm like bursting with these like, you know, energies and these chakras, and like, and it may be woo-hoo-y, but it also makes me feel really good. Like, wow, look, I have green right on my heart, right? Like, oh my God, I have blue right on my throat. And here I am, I feel open, I feel happy, I feel very like I was telling you guys this morning, like right where I'm supposed to be doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. And that would make sense because I'm so aligned with my colors exactly where they're supposed to be, you know. And just like you were saying, like I'm not gonna be wearing white anytime soon. Like that needs toned down. Like I need to balance that. And I'm like, okay, so where do I need to find my balance? So I'm gonna actually take this little quiz right after we get off of here. I feel like it's one of those things like when you're like going to check your credit score and you're like do I want to know that number or do I not? Like you're like putting your information in like, oh God. Because once you know, then you know, and it's like a little sketchy. But I'm gonna take that quiz because I'm like super curious about like where my chakras are and like how balanced I feel compared to how balanced I'm projecting maybe, right? Like sometimes I think we can feel certain ways, but how are we really being perceived? Or maybe is our ego clouding that decision? Or maybe I'm more imbalanced than I think I am, right? Sometimes I think I'm super, out of balance, and then maybe I'll take this quiz and realize, wow, I'm actually I'm not doing so bad. You know, like checking your credit score. Sometimes you check it, and you're like, hey, that's better than I thought it was gonna be. You know, so that's kind of how I look at that kind of stuff. So I'm excited to do this little test. So I'll tell you guys about it tomorrow. What I guys get. So I think it would be cool if you guys did it too. Like, you know, to know that Elika is, you know, because now I can like watch her. You know, now I'm gonna be like, are you wearing white? You know, but it's just kind of cool because then I can also support you correctly, maybe. You know, I can maybe look back on that and say, okay, well, if this is where she is and this is what she's trying to work on, how can I help her through that? How can I help her continue to work in that direction? Maybe I'll send you, I don't know if I can send you diamonds, but I can send you something, you know, that maybe would channel it. You can really start to understand the people you're with and around and support them in a whole nother way, right? Maybe through the food, or maybe I send you some tea, or, you know, because your throat is maybe like you're about to do an interview. So maybe right now you need to really channel that throat chakra and drink some teas and do your mantras and make sure that you're ready to speak up. Put your favorite blue shirt on, and because you're about to go into an interview where all you're going to get to do is talk. Right? Yeah, they'll be able to see you, but the talking is going to be the most important. And so to have that blue and be ready for it, like I can see that, you know? And so it's kind of cool when you can reference things like that. And it's just a different perspective. And I love tangible information I can take directly and use. I don't know about you guys. Like, I love motivation. I love like being motivated or inspired, but I love more like facts. I'm like more of like, can I just like wear the blue, eat the blue food, and know that it's helping me speak up? Like, I just like that kind of connection a little bit better. And so maybe you guys do too. Maybe you don't, right? Okay, no big deal. But maybe you do, or at least try it, right? Maybe you're not necessarily totally into all the energy stuff, but what if you tried it? What's it gonna hurt to wear your blue shirt so you can maybe feel confident to speak up? Right? Like, is it really gonna hurt? I just always think that anything that we know about ourselves or in this area is better. So awesome, ladies. Thank you so much, Elika. I appreciate your time putting all these together. I'm gonna share them in the challenge group today so you guys can save them and reference them. And then I'll share the little test. I shared it in the chat, so if you get a chance, copy and paste it. If not, I'll attach it to the forms when I share them in the challenge group. Cool? Are you ready for school? And you just like walked back up. All right, guys. I hope you have a fantastic day. I'll see you guys tomorrow, okay? Bye.